Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap Up. Matt McCarthy and Colby Marshall with this week's Martial Law with Mr. Colby Marshall. Colby, nobody gives a rat's behind how we're doing, so let's just get right to what you got for us.
Yeah, Matt, I want to break down the last preseason match of 2021 between Austin and LA. And I think a lot of people were surprised by the performance of the Austin Gilgronis in this game. They did lose 43-38 to the LA Giltinis, but they showed a lot of fight in this game. They put up 38 points, obviously, and I think it's something that they can build on. So in terms of a few players that stood out, Dominic Aquina is a guy from Austin that stood out. He had 2 tries in the game. And, you know, if you remember last year, Matt, he was so efficient on defense for Austin. In 400 minutes, he had 48 tackles and a 99.2% tackle percentage for the Gilgronis. And so it was a good sign to see him get off to a good start offensively, because you know what you're going to get from him on the defensive end.
Before you get into the statistical stuff, we do have the fact that this was the first ever Gilchrist Bowl. Adam Gilchrist owns both teams. Who the heck was he rooting for here?
You know, that's a good question. I don't have the answer to that, but I do know that a lot of history was made on the LA side. For them, you know, Nathan Van Hoot opened up the scoring and scored the first ever try in the franchise's history. He's a 23-year-old kid that I think it's fitting he was able to score the first try in their franchise history, because apparently the coaching staff, they rave about his great attitude, work rate, and leadership qualities. So it's cool that he was able to make history for them in that regard. Another notable performance came from Mahe Vilanu, who, you know, another young guy, scored 2 tries. Both came from mauls. He was actually the Ken Catchpole winner of the Shoot Shield down in Australia.
Aussie.
And funny enough, Darren Coleman was his coach in Australia. He's also the coach of the LA Giltinis now. And so I'm sure that he's happy to have Mahe on his squad, and he's happy with the performance that he put in on Saturday as well. And I know I'm going out on a limb here, but if you remember back to 1963, the Philadelphia 76ers started their first season in the NBA. And in their first game against the Detroit Pistons, Hal Greer led the team in scoring that night. And Hal Greer went on to become a legend alongside Allen Iverson as one of the top guards to ever play for the franchise. So I know, you know, I'm not going to call Mahe a legend now, but a lot of excitement around this new Giltinis team. You know, the sky's the limit, I would like to say, for him. And I'm sure that he'll have a long and successful career.
You did say 1963, correct?
I did.
So how old do you think I am? If you remember. Get out of here. What about my guy?
Adam Ashley Cooper. He did have a try late in the second half. I got to give it to him. But I got nothing else from Adam Ashley Cooper.
All right. Any final thoughts on martial law before the real season kicks off?
Yeah, so for Austin, week 1, they're going to host the Utah Warriors. And Utah is a very well put together team, solid on the attack, led by fly half Hagen Schultz. And so it's going to be a test for Austin, but I think if they can replicate some of what they did against LA, they can maybe catch Utah off guard and come away with some points, hopefully, in week 1.
You know, some of the criticisms on the Utah Warriors in the past has been fatigue in the final 20 minutes. Maybe it was playing in all that mountain air, but they're down in Austin, so it should be interesting to watch. And what about the Giltinis? Are they going to be hung over after their big exhibition win over the Gilgronis?
Yeah, I don't know, Matt. They got to play the New England Free Jacks. And let's not forget the Free Jacks blitzed Rugby United New York last year in week 1, 34-14. So I expect New England to come out with that same energy. And for LA, it's going to be a good test. You know, the Free Jacks, they do still have John Poland, the Irish scrum half, who had one of the best tries of 2020. So yes, it will be a good test for the Giltinis to see where they're at after surviving a scare against Austin in the preseason.
All right, now I'll go back to that Rooney versus Free Jacks game. That was a game, if I'm not mistaken, where that huge bounce off the turf and on the hard Vegas Sam Boyd Field turf bounced into the crossbar while Ben Foden was trying to field it, and it resulted in that unbelievable try for the Free Jacks. But we are out of time. I want to thank Mr. Colby Marshall for his martial law this week. And don't forget to check out our other segments with the Zach Attack and our Major League Rugby show and our Global Rugby News segment. For Mr. Colby Marshall, I'm Matt McCarthy on Rugby Wrap Up. Stay with us.